were, just getting out of the cross side, to now being not only on a single, but on top of cross side. All right, when we get up to a single, you might have seen this in different tutorials of mine, but we have to understand how to beat up the Kimura, because anytime we're coming up on a single, the Kimura is going to be there. So we're going to look at the very basic essential T Kimura counter drill, escape, once he counters me. So we've gotten up and we have the single. Most of the time it's because Lance he's driven in and I wasn't able to get up on my toes. So I didn't have that ability to take a reshot. I didn't have that ability to keep moving. What happens is I always want you on your feet, right? I want us on our feet, but that doesn't always happen. A lot of times Lance will put that weight into me, so it almost grounds me. Here's what can happen. He can easily snap. Yep, he can snap on a Kimura. And when he snaps on Kimura, just remember that when he's going for Kimura, he doesn't want to sit back. He wants to sit his hip where this knee is. So as he sits his hip in there, yeah, it's really going to flip me right over. So, but here's where we are. We know what we're in T Kimura. The thing that I do not want you to do is let go of this leg. This leg right now is your saving grace. So, and the fact that I have this grip below the knee is going to really help me, because it makes it difficult for him to get out of this. Here's what we'll do. We'll make sure that my hand is going to slide under the knee. We're going to, again, put our feet in a way that begins pendulum, making me like a little bit of a pendulum. So you see, as I put my feet down, it starts to bring my head up off Lance. Once we do that, our back gets light enough. We're getting a very small area of our hip, and we're able to move right beside Lance. So this is a really important thing that we need to establish here, is that I still have the leg. Remember, the last thing you're going to do is let go of the leg. That's literally the last thing that we're going to do. So keep this hand under the knee the entire move. We pendulum our leg. I'm going to actually then swing my feet around and straighten my right arm. So this right arm that's holding him, I'm going to straighten it, and I want to pull his knees to his face. Now, this doesn't happen, but that's the movement I want. This is about as far as you're going to get somebody's legs, up to this position. When you get side on, it's going to let my left fist straighten, my left arm straighten. Really, until you get to that side position, that's the first time you're going to get your arm straight. Because Lance knows that he wants to tuck my hand on my ribs or my stomach. I know that I want to straighten my arm. In this position, I'm not going to be able to straighten my arm. If he's doing his job right, I'm going to be stuck here. When it really makes a big difference is when I get beside him. Now I can do a true tricep extension. And that's a very, very strong position for our arm. I want your fist to go right over your training partner's face so it exposes this bicep. Once we expose that bicep, my far leg, the top one, is going to sweep over the top, go foot on the bicep, and we're going to push and pull. So I push with my leg, I pull with my left hand, and it breaks down Lance's grip. And then there's a plethora of things that can happen even before this, but now we can let the leg go. And if everything is in my favor, I'm going to grab Lance's wrist, I'm going to re-Kimura him, and I'm going to get to the top. You may have a Yoko Senkaku, you may have a Kimura, or you may have nothing. You may just be able to get to the top of cross side. Regardless, you will be out of that Kimura and on top. Majority of times, you will be on top of your training partner when they track this the T Kimura. There are going to be often times where even if you don't make it to the top, you're going to make it into your open guard. And always remember where we were coming from. We're coming from cross-side bottom. So anytime we were able to go from cross-side bottom to even worst case, an open guard setting, that's a win. We've escaped. We've escaped through a single. He tried to counter me. I countered him, and I've escaped the cross side. In this case, I'm hoping that you guys can use this and master this defense, and then not only end up on open guard, but end up on top and potentially submitting or in a submission that you've applied. So again, we hit that single. I was here. I wasn't able to get my drive because he did a good job of driving my weight back into my hips. And then he locks on a Kimura, which is very common. he sits forward and sits through, it sweeps me backwards. And then I'm gonna now take my hand under the knee, I'm gonna pendulum my legs, swing around the corner, straighten my fist, foot to the bicep, straighten, and then maybe I'll be able to lock on my very own or your very own Kimura, and then we can get to the top. Yokas and Kakus here, all kinds of things are here for you to take. Or if you lose the elbow, just make sure, because my leg's over his head, very hard for him to get to the top, just make sure that we replace that leg with our arm, and then you can secure top position. So T Kimura counter, so it's sort of the essential Kimura counter from a single leg. It's something that you need to master no matter what you do in jiu-jitsu. This is one defense that you must master. Okay, we're gonna walk through a peek out. Now, it's very specific the way that I would love for you to peek out. I'm gonna demonstrate two different ways. There's more than this, but I'm gonna demonstrate the two most popular ways. When we're peeking out, we're gonna peek out to the side that overhook is. It's the easiest way to make sure that we get that angle, because he's over my arm. It's gonna get us behind him relatively quickly, relatively efficiently. But the leg positions that I'm gonna talk about, and that I would prefer us do, is very specific. I want us to avoid peek outs where we actually sit all the way through. It's very common amongst the world of wrestling and jiu-jitsu. What I want us to focus on, though, is a much shorter peek out, and it looks the same as we've been doing with these reshots, and it's just to my hip. So instead of my left leg going and opening all that way, it's actually just to my hip, and so that the left foot is tucked in and blocked. When we peek out, again, it's really important that knee-chest relationship stays in the same plane. That's what's really going to make you strong. The reason why I prefer this peek out with this short peek out rather than sort of a longer sit through is so that if we're high stepped over, if my training partner is putting a lot of pressure back into me, when you're here, we're strong. We can still wrestle from this position. Even if they're driving into you, you can still slide around and your leg is not stuck out here. When we have this long sit through and someone drives onto me, it's almost inevitable that I'm going to get rocked back because my base leg is all the way out here. It should be tucked in so that when we sit through, if we're getting driven, we can switch hips, we can rotate. You're strong. You're ready for your training partner, opponent to drive into you. It's not going to affect the nature of what we have as follow-ups. That long, very long sit through can easily be countered, and in my opinion, we should really just avoid that entirely. We should stay with these short peek outs where we're on our hip, our leg is loaded, and if you like legs, we're ready for inside position off of a single leg. So you can get into inside position on leg locks. Very simple because your leg is in good position. So without further ado, come on, Lance. We'll look at this peek out. In this situation, I was able to get to my single again. Though, you may or not be on your toes. You can hit a peek out on your toes, absolutely better. But you may not be there. You may have waited for too long, and he might be driving you onto your legs. Just keep in mind, you can hit a peek out when we're on our knees, but we must go lower, and that's why we're going to go on our hips. If I'm up on my toes.